Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and let's take a look at what's new in Windows 10 May 2020 update. Microsoft has now released Windows 10 May 2020 update, and in this is going to be called the Windows 10 version 2004. If you want to see that, you just type in WinVer, if I could spell here, and as you can see, I am already on version 2004. This is the build number if you're curious, and this is what Microsoft put out as the latest version of Windows 10. Now, it comes with some new features, some new improvements, hopefully more stability, only time will tell, but as you see here in a little bit, there's a lot of known issues already there in the software. So, just to go through a few things here, Microsoft says here's some things new in the May 2020 update. You know, better Bluetooth for faster Bluetooth. It's supposed to be able to do passwordless items where you can just sign into you're using Windows Hello. Cleaner, faster setups, or cleaner, faster, safer. Blah, and not setups, safer. But this is going to try to help protect against unwanted apps. You have a new what is it, K emojis. So if you really want to, you open this up and Windows key period, and you can actually then go to here and get a whole bunch of new what is it, emojis. Let's exit out of here. Let's keep on going. Name your own desktop. So if you have multiple different desktop areas, you can then go through and name them to something other than desktop 1 or desktop 2, which if that's something you want to do, you're able to do that now, which is great for these virtual desktops that Microsoft has. And you can click here to learn more. I'll leave the blog post below if you're really curious about the virtual desktops. Most users, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal for, but I'm getting more and more into them as a developer, keeping things on different screens. The new DirectX 12 Ultimate is out, and this is something I probably will particularly see once the new graphics cards get out and they're released, but more importantly, once games are developed against DirectX 12 Ultimate, and this will really see more after the Microsoft's console is released. And I expect about 6 months afterwards, we'll start to see some of these games in there. Now, maybe some first-party games will be out up front with the DirectX 12 Ultimate, but really, it's going to be a little bit further down the road. The Xbox Game Bar now also supports third-party widgets, so you can get like XSplit or Razer's, something Razer did. They also put that in there. Hopefully, more is to come. I really kind of wish that this was more ironed out between the Xbox Game Bar stuff and the recording and third-party widgets, along with the Radeon software or the Radeon streaming side, and as well as NVIDIA streaming side. There's got to be a better solution here. So far, with all the issues between Game Bar and the streaming side, and I would try to show you guys this. I mean, if we go into settings here, and if we go to gaming, you can kind of see some of the stuff gaming here. The game bar is turned off, and I know if I were to hit the game bar and turn it on right now, based on my prior experience, I'm going to get a crash with the Radeon software that I'm using to record this video on, so that's not something I want to do with that. But then there's also memory improvements in Edge, stay on top calculator, which if you're using the calculator a lot, you can actually click this button. It stays on top. You go over here, and it's just up the entire time. Notepad has some improvements. You can increase the text. Cortana is now in an app, and this is a feature that was deprecated. So the old Cortana is now deprecated, and the new Cortana is now being used. So this is actually an improvement. I think they should have done an app right away. Like you can see, it brings up your history. You can say, "Tell me a joke," if I can spell here, and it just tells you a joke. You can add things. You can ask it items, and this is a nice little feature here to be focused on, like an assistant that's focused on your day-to-day items, just to help you out. It's not something that's going to be a smart assistant, and I wish Microsoft would do more in the smart assistant area and have a competition there, and device would be more open to having different inputs depending upon if it is you're sitting at your desktop, or if you want a smart home with the Alexa and everything, and have the Alexa someplace else. Me personally, I have my computer all day. I'd rather have to type it out, and I mean that's some of the hold up there with me even doing some smart stuff because I want to do it myself. I don't want to have a whole bunch of stuff that's already out there. I want to do some of the stuff myself, which is one holdup as I got to make these Raspberry Pis work. But another thing is that just having all the other devices in your house all the time is just kind of annoying when I already got stuff that I could already use. And then Microsoft accessibility improvements to help empower, as I say here, everyone everywhere. And that's a huge thing. I've taught people with disabilities, learning disabilities and that are out there, and just being able to help them out and make it easier for them. This is a great idea. This is great that Microsoft's put a lot more effort into it, which is really just helpful. I love to see people learn on computers and get them. Computers are really a passion of mine that I've just had forever. And just being able to get people to get in and use a computer and make their life easier is always a benefit. And this is one great idea for that. So I'm excited that they went through and improved more of this. And then let's jump over to what's new. And this one, I guess it did there, but here's a little bit more in-depth side of what's all new or most of what's new in this version of Windows. And so the Windows Hello stuff now is enabled in, Fast Identity Online 2, which is what they call FIDO 2 Authenticator. So now you can even use it in Chrome and Firefox and of course Edge, where it already is. There's some passwordless stuff that I mentioned. There's Windows Hello PIN, added to safe mode, and Windows Hello for Business now has hybrid Azure Active Directory support. So if you're in the IT side, this is going to be a huge benefit to you. Windows Defender has some additional improvements, and they're going to keep improving this along the way. Microsoft is probably on the point where they want to make sure that they don't go backwards on where they're at in their defending against viruses and online attacks. They probably want to be stepping it up if any indication of what the security stuff is going on. So we've had everything from CPU flaws last year, and now there's going to probably be another more hardware stuff. Plus you have software on top of that, and there's room for improvement all the time, and Microsoft's taking it quite seriously. And then there's deployment stuff if you want. There's new Windows deployment side things, especially for the IT side of things. One thing to know is if you were to, I believe, I'm not going to do it because this would be a very fun video if I did. There's a go back to previous versions. I haven't cleaned up stuff, but if your computer isn't running well, you can get started. And I believe this now allows you to do a cloud restore. So instead of going back to a version that you already have on your machine, it can now go look at the cloud. You can download that version in live time and restore your PC or reset your PC with that version. So that is a great feature to have. I'd love to see it with a little USB drive that Microsoft, maybe 100 megabytes, little installer that allows you to run this or boot off of it on a new computer and just go download the latest version and pull it down, install Windows, the version you want, and go from there. If Microsoft could do that, that would be very golden, I think, to allow me just to have a little USB drive and then would just pull down the latest Windows 10 version, plug it into a computer, and you're off to the races rather than having to download it each time and have another, 4 to 8 gig download depending upon what version you're doing. So there's some features here, and I'm not going to hit on all of them. I'm just going to hit on the ones that I find kind of interesting, and I'm not the IT management stuff anymore. That was many years ago, and yeah, if you're on IT side, take a deeper look at this, and my guess is that most IT companies are not going to be looking at 2004. They're going to be more looking at like 2009, that later version of the fall version of Windows when it comes out, because that has a longer servicing cycle than this one. This one's only going to be serviced for 18 months, supported for 18 months, and then Microsoft's pitching it to the wayside for something else in support. But I think part of Microsoft's problem is having all these versions of Windows in support and having some bugs that sneak through every once in a while. So one day we'll have this fixed, but who knows. There's also Windows sandboxes, and this one is a huge benefit to users. Microsoft I talked a little bit about security up above, but the sandboxing stuff now allows you to basically fully isolated desktop environment. Let's say you don't know what a piece of software is, or you're unsure about it. Now you can go through this, start it up, and it will be in a sandbox. So once you destroy it, it is gone. You don't have to worry about messing up your computer, which is a great thing. Now, one thing I really like is this Windows subsystem for Linux. I use it a lot at work, and it's been a huge benefit to us in our development because we develop for both Windows and Linux. And this is one area where you could, it's really kind of a big deal. Now, this is a WSL2 support is added, and it has ARM64 devices as well. And there's a full release list here to see what's all in WSL2. But they really improved some of the hard drive access, and there's a whole bunch of memory stuff here as they mentioned up on top. But the development cycle was already good with WSL1. It has improved with that hard drive ability to that faster access, especially if you're building a lot, right? You're running a lot of stuff. So this is a huge improvement here. I'm really glad Microsoft has continually improved here, and that they're dedicated to the developer a lot more than what they used to be. Now, they're dedicated in this area. I have some, I could go on a developer tangent on stuff that I wish they were more devoted in, but I've been impressed with this. Now, the new Microsoft Edge is in here. The old Edge that came with Windows 10 when it first shipped, 3 years ago, and was updated until last year. That has been deprecated and will no longer be updated, but you have the new one now. But they did have an improvement of memory footprint. Really, I'm not going to run across that probably too much. I use a lot of tabs. You're only seeing one thing here of only, 4 tabs. I have another browser window open of Edge that has a whole bunch. I actually have Firefox open on my Surface, so that's not there. But then I have, on my work computers, I have Edge open and Firefox open. Who knows how much memory it's using, probably way too much, but they're all pretty memory heavy machines. Whereas my wife, she'd probably see more of a result from that than I would. Cortana, I mentioned that's been updated. Windows Search is supposed to have improvements. I hope it actually is an improvement. Who knows, Microsoft, with how much you screwed up Windows Search over the last little bit. I have my doubts. So, yeah, have your doubts. Microsoft, we'll see how good it is once I start using it more. I've only been using this version of Windows for just underneath a week on this desktop, and so I've been using it on my Surface, but really my desktop, once I get into it, have it, because I do so much work on my desktop, it really tells me how good something is, and I haven't had enough to make a conclusion on if you've actually improved it, Microsoft. Yeah, so the reset the PC and recovery function is a cloud download option. I wonder why they put it down here instead of up with the other kind of deployment stuff, because I kind of see Windows as, when you're installing Windows, that's a deployment. But Task Manager, this is one of my glad to have improvements, which is in here. Now they have what type of disk type it is, so you can see I have 2 SSDs, which I hope they are, because if they said hard drives, I'd be really questioning, and Microsoft would have really got something wrong. But on the GPU side, you can see I got a Vega 64. It's using about 100% GPU because I am encoding on it, and you can see here there's a little scroll bar. If you don't know this, you can go into Options and set default tab to Performance if you want, or set it to whichever one you want. So it goes to that when you open up Task Manager. But the big thing is it has your GPU temperature. So this temperature on the Performance tab is great. And it's even here in the little overview of it. And I like what Microsoft did here. The only downside is that they didn't put the temperature for the CPU or any of the other SSDs. And I'm really confused as to why they didn't just go all out and get it there. You know that they're pulling that stuff for, clock speeds and everything else, if they have anything to do with it. You know, they know about the CPU. They work with Intel, AMD on kernel stuff, so they know how to get it. It's just not there. So hopefully Microsoft puts that out, even for the SSDs. That temperature puts it right there in the same little parentheses for all these. It'd be great, Microsoft, little add-on. I do want to make a little note here while I'm in here, is that the driver version is 27. That's a new driver version as well. And this DirectX version is DirectX 12, and all the I can't remember what FL stands for, but all the feature list. That's what it stands for, I believe. And that's the feature list that is incorporated, driver date. And so I did update my AMD driver to after the Windows 10 update because that was important. Yes, AMD came out with a new update to support the new Windows. Now there's a new 2-in-1 tablet experience. I have not done much with this on my tablet. I use it mostly in a desktop mode just because I need to clean up some stuff on it first before it gets back to that tablet mode that I like to use it for. But here you go, and that's basically down the dirty details of what's new in the Windows 10. But let's go to the fun part, which is what are all the issues. Now, if you'd like to go through and install this, for people that want to seek it, before I get into the details here, in the Windows Update, you won't see it here because I've already, checked for updates today, and I've already installed 2004. But what you can do is that there will be right above the pause for updates for 7 days, there's going to be a thing that says download and install. So if Microsoft thinks that you're a good candidate, it will allow you to download and install the May 2020 update of Windows, and feel free to do that if you think you won't have many bugs. And if you're okay maybe with having bugs or working around it, do it. So I've done it on 3 machines in my house. One I have on Insider, so one's already, my Surface Pro is already on there. My wife's, she hasn't had any issues, and one thing I like for her to have is something that just works, no issues at all. So that's very crucial overall for her to have. And so far, she hasn't came to me asking me that she's had any problems. So that's good. Yeah, that's the only thing. The other computers I manage, so one's a Plex server, and that hasn't had any problems. And one's my desktop that I do a whole bunch of work on, and I haven't had any issues there. But I'm a N=1 case, so take that with a grain of salt. But here we go. Here's the list of issues that they have already listed as known. I'm sure that there'll be more coming up here, as we're only last updated was about May 28th, it looks like. But I'm not going to go through each of these. If you have a Intel iGPU and you're hooking a monitor up to it and using the variable refresh rate, don't update right now. They're investigating the details. Now might be workarounds below in the details of each of these, but I'm not going to jump through hoops to look at those right now, as they may change and may not work for you. So I'm just going to put out there, might hold off until they get this fixed. Difficulty connecting more than one Bluetooth device. So they made it easier for you to connect it and quicker, but they made it so you can only do one. This is with, I believe, a Realtek's Bluetooth chip. So Microsoft's looking into that one. A few of these other ones, audio drivers, Microsoft's looking into. They also have a Thunderbolt dock. So if you use Thunderbolt, that's going to receive a stop error, so that's not good either. Blue screen, right? If you have an always connected device, so a lot of the Qualcomm devices, I believe, are always connected, even some of the Intel ones. Not a good sign there. Game input redistributable in Windows 10 might lose mouse input. That's always a fun one, right? You can't use your mouse. And then another big one here is the NVIDIA display driver. Issues with older NVIDIA display drivers. And this is, let's say you have an older card, and they actually say the version here that is below 358.0. If you have something newer, you should be in good shape. If not, update your drivers. Hopefully you can. If it's an older card, you might not be able to, and you may be stuck, and that's another thing where you should just hold off. This is Microsoft here, where their development team needs to get bigger, their testing team needs to get bigger, do more. I don't know which one it is. I haven't been in the room with developers or testers or how they're doing it to really see where their deficiencies are. One thing do at my job is I work a lot with testing. I'm a developer, but I do a lot with the testing side. I'm making sure we're trying to get the best testing results, not just testing results, but the best coverage we can do, so that we have the best product when we release it. So that's what I like to do. I like to develop, but I also like to make sure we're releasing rock hard software, because if you're not, you cause issues for people, and it's not a good experience. And when you don't have a good experience, people get frustrated, and you need to work towards getting a good experience. And Microsoft needs to put more effort into that. Hopefully, this next release that they do is really a refining release, really a bug fixing release, really starting to harden the parts of the OS that need hardening, so that you don't have all these issues that people are having. A lot of times, people come up and ask me questions, even in comments, and I think it could be a piece of software or anything like this, but I also have to consider the Windows side of things, because of how bad Windows updates have been over the past, I would say, few years, which is really sad to see. And hopefully Microsoft can start ironing this out and nailing it down, because it really is hard to diagnose and hard to help people get over their problems with what they're having with their computers. If I always have to go back to, well, is Windows doing its job? Is it a Windows bug? So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on all these new things that Microsoft has came out here in this OS. Hopefully there is something there that helps you do more stuff in your day-to-day life, helps it make it easier for you. If not, and you're crashing all the time, leave those in the comments below, as well as maybe what you like about the OS or what new features you enjoy. But with that, I do want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to help support this channel, helping it grow. I really appreciate it. Been very grateful about the growth of this channel over the last month or so. I really enjoy you guys' support, and I'm really grateful for it. And until next time, I want to say God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.